All right, hey guys, what's going on? Dave with Beginning Guitar Online. Welcome to this week's episode on palm muting. Now, this will be especially important for anybody that's looking to have a little bit of control on timbre. If you want to do metal and you want to really, chug, this episode is for you. So we're going to start with the sort of the metal hard rock application first, just to get that really thick percussive tone, and then we'll talk a little more nuanced later about other applications. So doing it on acoustic or a clean tone. So so palm muting, if you want a really thick, chunky rhythm tone, this is something that you're going to have to master. Essentially, what you have to do is instead of having the guitar sound like this, I'm doing an E5 power chord here. So open E string and first finger, second fret on the A string. And again, so open, no sound, nice and thick. You can hear all the tones are open and there. So if we put our palm down and mute it with the edge of our palm here, you get more of that sound, right? So you can hear how much more, how muted that is. It's not that wide open sound. It's more of that kind of sound. Now, anybody who, I'm not going to get into that. That's going to be a whole tone thing, and then it'll be a rabbit hole. Later we can talk about gates and signal chains and setting things up to get you a really, heavy sound. But for this, we're talking guitar, distortion pedal, amp. That's it. So one of the things that I was introduced to this was all of my favorite kind of Bay Area thrash bands: Metallica, Slayer, Machine Head, obviously. Love those bands. Love those sounds. That really chunky, Now, one of the things that sets Metallica apart for that really thick, chunky sound, and you'll hear this a lot in modern metal bands, but there is a physical limit to it, is playing all downstrokes. So here, we'll take a listen to the difference between alternate picking up-down on the open string versus all downstrokes. Now, we'll do the same thing, but with a little bit of palm muted on there, and you can hear the difference, and you tell me whether or not it sounds heavier. Right? So alternate picking with a palm mute versus all downstrokes. So that's just to give you an idea of the way it sounds, right? The timbre portion of it. Now, this is going to be important if you're going to eventually down the road try to play a Metallica song like, Master of Puppets or anything like that, where, personally, I find it more comfortable to play the lick alternate picking. But if you want to play it true to form, Hetfield plays all downstrokes, which you need a different level of picking arm dexterity for that, which is something to call out. Okay, so I've talked about different use cases already and how you already apply it, the sound you might be familiar with, all of that. But how do you actually do it? And it literally is as simple as placing, the side of your palm right here, right, onto the strings. How hard, right? Now, that might be your next question. How hard do you do that? Well, I'll start by just sort of chugging an open string, and then I will slowly place it on and go harder and harder and harder until it basically, kills the sound. Now, for me, what I was doing there is I had my hand right basically above the bridge here. And I call that out because that's a really nice place if you are palm muting to just leave your hand, and it kind of just anchors it there. Even if you do some more floaty kind of picking, right, when you get to more of the solo side, that right there is me doing my alternate picking there, but having my hand kind of anchored on the bridge while doing a little bit of palm muting while I play. So that affects the tone. It allows you to get really, really fast picking, and it just works out totally. So you can see there, I can't tell you via YouTube how hard it is to play, what's most comfortable, how best to do it. You need to just try it out. So again, find the bridge. If you have the Tune-O-Matic bridge here, like the Les Paul, or you're playing something like a Strat or a Floyd, you can still use the bridge as an anchor point, but find where that place is comfortable. Some people might rest a pinky on the pickup. That's fine in certain cases. I wouldn't recommend getting used to that all the time, but in certain cases, and just start to play with it. Now, if you go to the middle of the string, you'll hear a little bit of a different sound. So here's by the bridge versus the middle of the strings. So again, you can hear how much more dead that sound is. That could be useful if you really want that percussive sound. Maybe you're doing some funk. Maybe you're doing, just some percussive hits with the drums, whatever it is. That's another great use for that. All right. Now, for clean tones, it's the same thing. Now, you're not going to get that really necessarily that super chunky tone because you don't have all the distortion and all the harmonics, within that distortion. But again, I gave a shout out to Al Di Meola here, and he's a great example of how to use some palm muting as a timbral piece, right? So again, with that lick here that I did. So there, I wasn't really palm muting. You can hear how that changes as I put my hand on the string and then move off. Right. Now, one thing that you can do is, palm mute the bottom and then do a different lead line. So something like, that's an example. Any of that kind of stuff. All right. So hopefully you got something a little bit out of this, whether it's with the distorted side of things, with the palm muting, or some of the more clean tone pieces. That again, go check out. Guys like John Five, Al Di Meola, again, Metallica, any of those modern metal bands. This hard rock metal, any of that stuff is gonna play an important part in your styles. So get used to it. When you're first starting out, I will say you will have to build a callus against your palm, because just like with your fingertips, that part of your hand's not used to getting rubbed up against stuff. So be easy on yourself and work through it, and from there, see what happens. So. All right, take care. See you in the next episode, and keep going, keep practicing.